My brother accidentally dropped black paint on my son's graduation suit on ceremony morning. Dad said it was an accident. Stop acting like he died. I said nothing. I canceled the $18,000 party hall payment in my name and froze the family travel fund. The real shock came at 8:30 a.m. The paint was on the lapel, first, then the chest, then the right sleeve, and the paint was black and the suit was navy, and the difference between the two colors on fabric is the difference between a graduation and a disaster. And the disaster was at 5:45 a.m. on a Saturday in June in my parents' garage, where I had hung the suit the night before because the house did not have a spare closet, and the garage had a hook, and the hook was clean, and the suit was pressed, and the morning was supposed to be. The morning my son walked across the stage in a navy suit his father bought him. The can was on the floor. Bare Premium Plus. Interior, exterior. Black, latex, 1 gallon. The lid was off. The can was on its side. And the pour pattern on the concrete told the story the way pour patterns always tell stories when you paint for a living. The paint had traveled from the can to the suit in a straight line, which is not how paint travels when a can tips over accidentally. When a can tips, the paint pools at the base. When a can is poured, the paint follows the angle of the pour. The angle was 45 degrees. The trajectory was the suit. And the trajectory was aimed because trajectories do not aim themselves, and latex paint does not open itself, and gallon cans do not find their way to garages where graduation suits are hanging at 5:45 in the morning. Niles was standing behind me. My son, 18 years old, graduating today from Henrico High School at 9 a.m., walking across a stage in front of 400 people to receive a diploma he earned with a 3.74 GPA and 4 years of work, and the quiet determination of a boy who does not announce his achievements but shows up and performs and lets the transcript speak. The ceremony was 3 hours and 15 minutes from now, which was the distance between a boy and a stage and a diploma and a suit that was supposed to carry him across the distance and was now carrying black latex paint across the lapel and the chest and the right sleeve. He did not speak. The not speaking of an 18-year-old who has just seen his graduation suit ruined is not the silence of calm. It is the silence of a boy whose voice is stuck between the throat and the air because the throat has tightened and the air has left, and the space where the words would be is filled with the image of a navy suit with black paint on it hanging from a hook in a garage where it was supposed to be safe. My brother Devlin was in the kitchen. He had been in the kitchen when I found the suit. He was holding a coffee mug. He was wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. He was not wearing paint on his hands, which meant he had washed them, which meant the paint had been on his hands, which meant the hands had been on the can, which meant the can had been opened and poured by the man who was now drinking coffee in the kitchen with clean hands and an expression that was doing the work of the word accident before the word had been spoken. It was an accident, Colter. The can was on the shelf. It must have fallen. The can was on the floor. The lid was off. The pour angle was 45 degrees. And the shelf is 8 feet from the suit. Paint does not fall 8 feet laterally from a shelf. I do not know what happened. I came in to get my jacket from the hook, and the can was there. The can is Bare Premium Plus. Black, latex, we do not use Bare in this garage. Dad uses Sherwin-Williams for the trim. This can was bought recently for this. My father Trask walked in from the hallway. He was dressed for the graduation in khakis and a polo, the outfit of a man who believes graduations are casual events that do not require effort, which is consistent with every event involving Niles that Trask has attended with minimum effort and maximum opinion. What is going on? Devlin poured paint on Niles's suit. It was an accident. Stop acting like he died. It is a suit, Colter, a $380 suit from a discount store bought by a man who sprays cars. Niles can wear khakis. Nobody at a high school graduation cares what the kid is wearing. You are making this bigger than it is because you want to be the victim, the way you always do. The way you have been doing since you decided that painting Camaros was a career. The sentence filled the kitchen the way paint fills a spray booth, evenly, completely, and with the specific coverage that leaves no surface untouched. Sprays cars. Discount store. Painting Camaros. Victim. 4 labels applied to the man who has spent 8 months planning his son's graduation and 17 years raising his son and 38 years absorbing sentences like this one from a father who has never called the painting a profession, has never called the raising adequate, and has never called the planning necessary. Because Trask does not plan for Niles. Trask attends for Niles. And the attending is the minimum, and the minimum is Trask's maximum, and the maximum has never included a suit or a party or a sentence that says, "Your son deserves this." My mother, Mariette, was at the kitchen table. She had heard the conversation. She had not stood. She had not walked to the garage to see the suit. She had not asked Niles if he was okay. Mariette's contribution to every family crisis involving me is the presence of her body and the absence of her voice. And the absence is the agreement, and the agreement is with Trask. And Trask has just said, "Stop acting like he died." And Mariette's silence said, "Agreed." Niles walked out of the garage. He walked past Devlin without looking at him. He walked past Trask without looking at him. He walked to my truck in the driveway and sat in the passenger seat and closed the door. The closing of a boy who has decided that the house does not contain people who care about his suit or his graduation or the 3 hours and 15 minutes between now and the stage, and the truck is the place where the person who cares is, and the person who cares is his father. And his father paints for a living, and the painting is about to matter. I did 3 things in the next 14 minutes. First, I went to the garage. I took the suit off the hook. I examined the stain, black latex, Behr Premium Plus, on a polyester wool blend. I have painted cars for 16 years. I have removed overspray from fabric, vinyl, glass, chrome, rubber, and human skin. Latex paint on polyester blend is a solvable problem. The solvent is 91% isopropyl alcohol applied with a clean cloth in circular motions, followed by warm water rinse, followed by a second application, followed by air drying. The process takes 45 minutes. I had 3 hours. The suit was solvable. The family was not. Second, I took my phone out of my pocket. I called the Grandview Event Center on Staples Mill Road, the party hall for Niles' graduation celebration. 100 guests confirmed. Catering for 100. DJ booked. Decorations ordered. Total cost, $18,000 on my visa. The booking was in my name. The deposit was my card. The balance was my card. I spoke to the events coordinator. I said, "I need to cancel the reservation for this evening." Booking reference Jack 4471. The coordinator asked if I was sure. I said, "The booking holder is canceling." The cancellation was processed. The $18,000 would be refunded minus a $2,200 cancellation fee. The $15,800 would return to my card. And the 100 guests who were expecting a graduation party this evening would receive no invitation update because the update was not mine to send. The update was the family's problem. The family made the suit a problem. Now the party was theirs. Third, I called my bank. I requested a freeze on the family travel fund account. The account was a joint savings account that I had opened 4 years ago for the purpose of funding an annual family vacation. 4 years of contributions. My contribution, $650 per month. Total, $31,200. Devlin's contribution, $200 per month for the first year, then $0. Total, $2,400. Trask and Mariette's contribution, $100 per month for 2 years, then $0. Total, $2,400. The account balance was $36,000. Of the $36,000, $31,200 was mine. The freeze was processed. Nobody could withdraw until the freeze was lifted by the primary account holder, which was me. I carried the suit to my truck. I drove to the body shop. Commonwealth Collision Center. I have keys. The shop was empty at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. I laid the suit on the clean table in the paint prep room. The room where I mix compounds and match colors and apply coatings that cost $400 per gallon. The room that Trask calls the spray booth, as if the booth contains nothing but cans and the man inside it contains nothing but a trigger finger. I opened the isopropyl alcohol. 91%. I soaked a microfiber cloth. I applied it to the lapel stain in small circular motions, the same motions I use when removing overspray from a customer's fender, the same patience, the same pressure, the same understanding that paint is not permanent unless you let it dry, and the letting is the mistake, and the mistake was not going to happen, because the latex was still wet at 5:45, and the wet was the window, and the window was open. The lapel cleared in 12 minutes, the chest took 18, the sleeve took 14. By 7:05 a.m., the suit was clean. Not perfect. There was a faint shadow on the right sleeve where the paint had been heaviest, the shadow that fabric retains when a stain is removed, but the memory of the stain remains in the weave. The way a car retains the outline of a scratch after the scratch is filled and sanded and painted over. The shadow was invisible at arm's length. The shadow was only visible if you knew where to look, and the only people who knew where to look were the man who removed the stain and the man who put it there. I pressed the suit with the shop steam iron. I hung it on the clean rack. I drove home. I picked up Niles. I handed him the suit. Try it on. He held it up. He looked at the lapel. He looked at the chest. He looked at the sleeve. The looking lasted 4 seconds, which is how long it takes an 18-year-old to process the distance between a ruined suit and a clean one, and to understand that the distance was closed by a father who paints cars and who used the painting to save the graduation that the painting was supposed to disqualify him from caring about. How? Isopropyl alcohol. 91%. The paint was latex. Latex is water-based. Water-based paint dissolves in alcohol. I have been removing paint from surfaces for 16 years. The suit is a surface. The paint is removed. It looks perfect. It looks clean. Perfect is what you are going to look in it when you walk across that stage. Welcome to Family Secret Tales, where the person who paints for a living knows how to remove the paint that was put there on purpose, and the family that called it an accident is about to learn that the man who sprays cars can also cancel a party hall and freeze a travel fund. If your brother has ever sabotaged your son's graduation morning and your father told you to stop acting like he died, subscribe now. Because the suit is clean and the hall is canceled, and 8:30 a.m. is 9 minutes away. My name is Colter Strand. I am 38 years old. I am an auto body technician at Commonwealth Collision Center in Richmond, Virginia. I repair collision damage, replace panels, match factory paint codes, and refinish vehicles to pre-accident condition. My salary is $64,000 a year. My family calls my work spraying cars, as if the spraying is the skill and the cars are the canvas, and the man between the spray gun and the clear coat is unnecessary. My coworker Baines is 50. He has been in auto body for 28 years. He is the person who taught me color matching, the person who says paint tells the truth, because paint does not lie about its composition or its origin or its application. And the truth the paint on Niles's suit told was, this is latex, this is bare, this is black, this was poured, and this was not an accident. Baines is the person who said, when I called him from the shop at 6:15 while removing the stain, you paint cars. You know paint. And the man who knows paint knows that latex does not land on a suit by accident. Fix the suit. Cancel the party. Let the boy walk clean and the family sit empty. Baines also said something else. He said, the boy tried on the suit and stood in the mirror for 4 minutes. That is not a boy who does not care about a suit. That is a boy who is practicing being a man. And the brother who poured paint on the practice is the brother who does not want the boy to succeed. Baines is right. Devlin does not want Niles to succeed. The not wanting is the architecture of the family's favoritism. Devlin is the younger brother. He is 34. He works as a warehouse supervisor at a distribution center in Henrico County. His salary is $48,000. He dropped out of community college after one semester. He has a Dewey from 3 years ago. He lives in an apartment that Trask calls transitional, even though the transitioning has lasted 6 years. And the 6 years are the distance between where Devlin is and where Devlin was supposed to be. And the distance is the gap that Trask fills with excuses, and Merritt fills with silence, and the family fills with the belief that Devlin's failures are circumstances, and Colter's successes are luck. And Niles's graduation is just a ceremony. Niles is the first person in the Strand family to graduate high school with honors. GPA 3.74. National Honor Society. Accepted to Virginia Commonwealth University for the fall. Partial scholarship, $6,000 per year. The scholarship letter arrived in March, and I framed it. The frame is on the mantel in my apartment. Devlin saw the frame when he visited in April. He said, "Must be nice to have a kid who makes you look good." The sentence was not a compliment. The sentence was the resentment of a man whose nephew's diploma will be the thing Trask puts on the refrigerator next to the thing Devlin has never produced, which is a credential, and the credential is the mirror that shows Devlin what Devlin did not do. And the mirror is Niles, and the mirror was about to walk across a stage in a suit that Devlin tried to destroy. The suit was not just a suit. The suit was the first suit Niles had ever owned. I took him to Henley's men's store on Broad Street on a Saturday in May. The two of us, no family, no opinions. The salesman measured his shoulders and his inseam and his sleeve length, and the measuring was the first time a man in a store had treated Niles like a man and not a boy. And the treating was in the measuring. Because measuring is what professionals do when the product matters, and the person inside the product matters, and the fit is the proof of the mattering. Niles tried on the navy suit. He stood in front of the 3-panel mirror. He did not move for 4 minutes. 4 minutes of an 18-year-old looking at himself in a suit and seeing the man he is becoming. And the becoming was in the shoulders that filled the jacket and the posture that straightened and the chin that lifted. And the lifting was the boy becoming. And the suit was the frame. $380. I paid in cash because cash is how I pay when the purchase is important, and the important is measured by the number of overtime shifts it took to earn it, which was 4. 4 Saturday collision repairs, 4 crawl under the car and fix what is broken shifts that produced the $380, that produced the suit, that produced the 4 minutes in the mirror that Devlin tried to destroy with a gallon of black latex from Home Depot. What my family does not know is what I pay for. The graduation party, $18,000. Grandview Event Center, 100 guests. Catering by River City Kitchen. DJ, decorations and rentals. Venue fee, all on my visa. Booked by me in January. Planned by me across 5 months. The party that Trask calls your little event is an $18,000 event funded entirely by the man who sprays cars. The family travel fund, $36,000 total. My contributions, $31,200. The fund that Trask and Merritt have used for 2 vacations to the Outer Banks and 1 trip to Myrtle Beach. Vacations where the family traveled on money that was $86. 7% mine, and credited to the family as if the family contributed equally, and the equally is a lie that costs $650 per month. Devlin's car insurance, $190 a month on my policy for 3 years. $6,840. Because Devlin's individual rate after a Dewey was $520, and the $520 was more than Devlin's warehouse supervisor salary could handle, and the handling fell to the brother who sprays cars. Parents' property tax, $1,100 per year for 4 years, $4,400, because the tax comes due in December when Trask's pension is committed to holiday expenses, and the commitment does not include the tax, and the tax is mine. Total invisible support, $18,000 party plus $31,200 travel fund plus $68 on 40 insurance plus $4,400 tax. $60,400 from the man who sprays cars. Saturday, 8:30 a.m. Henrico High School auditorium. The seats were filling. Parents in rows. Grandparents in the reserved section. Siblings along the sides. The stage was set with a podium and 412 chairs for the graduating class. 412 blue caps and gowns, 412 diplomas in leather folders. Niles was backstage with his class. Navy suit under the gown. Clean, pressed. The shadow on the right sleeve invisible under the fabric. The cap was straight. The tassel was on the right side, ready to be moved to the left when the diplomas were handed out. The boy who had sat in my truck at 5:50 and with the silence of a son whose suit was ruined, was now standing backstage with the posture of a boy whose suit was saved by a father who knows paint the way other fathers know law or medicine or finance. Except the knowing is called spraying, and the spraying is not respected, and the not respecting is the family's mistake, and the mistake is about to cost them $60,440. Trask and Merritt were in the 6th row. Devlin was next to them. They had arrived expecting one of two things: Niles in khakis, humiliated, proving that the suit was just a suit and the graduation was just a graduation and the painting career was just spraying, or Niles absent, overwhelmed, proving that Colter cannot handle a crisis and the crisis was manufactured by the brother who washed his hands and drank coffee while the paint dried. Neither happened. At 8:30 a.m., the graduates filed in. Row by row, alphabetical by last name. I was in the 14th row, seat 14C, aisle, reserved online 3 weeks ago, because the aisle allows a clear view of the stage, and the clear view was what I needed, because the view was going to be the evidence that the paint did not win. When the S section appeared, Niles walked across the stage left entrance in a navy suit under a blue gown, and the navy was clean, and the gown was pressed, and the boy was upright, and the walking was the walking of an 18-year-old who knows something that the audience does not know, which is that the suit he is wearing was covered in black paint 3 hours ago, and his father fixed it in a collision repair shop with isopropyl alcohol and a microfiber cloth, and the same hands that Trask says only spray Camaros. The principal called names alphabetically. Each student walked across the stage, shook hands with the principal, received the diploma folder, and moved the tassel from right to left. The distance from the podium to the diploma handoff was 22 feet of stage under fluorescent light, and each set of 22 feet belonged to a student and a family, and the belonging was visible in the applause that came from different sections of the auditorium as each name was called. Niles Robert Strand. The applause came from seat 14C. It came from me. One person clapping in the 14th row, and the one person was enough, because the one person had woken at 5:45 a.m. and found paint on a suit and driven to a body shop and dissolved the paint and pressed the suit and driven home and handed the suit to his son, and the son was now walking 22 feet of stage in a navy suit that was clean because the father who paints cars knows how to remove the paint that was put there on purpose. He shook the principal's hand, he took the diploma, he moved the tassel. Left side. The left side is the side of completion. The completion was visible in his posture and his chin and his shoulders that filled the jacket, and the jacket was clean. And the clean was the answer to every sentence Trask and Devlin had said in the kitchen 4 hours ago. Trask saw him. Trask was in the 6th row. Trask's face did not move. The face of a man who expected khakis and is seeing a suit and whose expectation has been contradicted by the son he told to stop acting like he died. The face was the face of a man who is recalculating, and the recalculating is, how is the suit clean? The answer was, the man who sprays cars knows how to remove paint. And the knowing was the thing Trask had never respected, and the not respecting was the thing that just saved the morning Trask tried to dismiss. Merritt looked at Trask. The looking was the question. How? And Trask's non-answer was the answer. He did not know how. He did not know, because Trask does not know paint, and Trask does not know solvents, and Trask does not know that 91% isopropyl alcohol dissolves latex on polyester blend in 45 minutes when applied by a man who has been removing paint from surfaces for 16 years. Trask knows opinions. Trask does not know chemistry. And the chemistry won the morning. Devlin's face was different. Devlin's face was the face of a man who poured paint on a suit at 5:45 a.m. and is now watching the suit walk across a stage at 8:30 a.m. with zero paint on it, and the zero is not possible in Devlin's understanding. Because Devlin does not know paint chemistry, and Devlin assumed that black latex on navy fabric was permanent, and the permanent was the plan, and the plan failed, and the failing is visible in Devlin's jaw, which is dropped, and Devlin's hands, which are gripping the armrests, and Devlin's skin, which has lost color, because the color has been drained by the sight of a clean suit on a boy who was supposed to be wearing khakis. At 8:32 a.m., the cancellation confirmation from Grandview Event Center arrived in the family group chat. I had set it to send as a scheduled message. The message included the cancellation reference number, the refund amount, and one line from me: the party is canceled. The suit is clean. And the man who sprays cars knows the difference between an accident and a pour. I almost did not cancel the party. 100 guests had been invited. Friends, neighbors, Niles's classmates, extended family. The party was for Niles, not for Trask, not for Devlin, not for the family that ruined the suit, but the Home Depot receipt stopped me. I had found it in the garage trash can at 6 a.m. while examining the paint can. Bare Premium Plus. Black, latex, 1 gallon. Purchased at the Home Depot on West Broad Street at 9:47 p.m. the night before. Purchased with a debit card ending in 8814. Devlin's card. The receipt was the intent. The intent was the purchase. And the purchase was 8 hours before the pour, which is 8 hours of planning the accident that Trask called an accident, and that the receipt proved was a decision. I almost left the travel fund unfrozen. The fund was supposed to pay for this summer's family trip to Hilton Head. Freezing the fund would cancel the trip for everyone, including Niles. But the pour angle stopped me. 45 degrees. The angle of a deliberate pour aimed at a suit hanging on a hook by a man who knew the suit was there because the man had seen the suit the night before when he returned from Home Depot with a gallon of black latex, paint, and a receipt that he threw in the trash because receipts are evidence, and evidence belongs in the trash when the plan is to call it an accident. The angle was the intent, and the intent required a consequence larger than a stain. I almost confronted Devlin in the garage at 6 a.m. The words were ready. The receipt was in my pocket. The can was on the floor. But Niles stopped me. He was in the truck. Waiting. The waiting of a boy who needs his father to fix the thing that was broken, not to fight the person who broke it. The fixing was more important than the fighting. And the fixing required a paint prep room and a microfiber cloth and 45 minutes that I could not spend in a garage arguing with a man who washes paint off his hands and calls it an accident. Welcome back to Family Secret Tales. If you are the father who removed the paint, saved the suit, and canceled the party because the family that sabotaged the morning does not deserve the evening, hit subscribe. Because the suit is clean and the stage is crossed and the party hall is empty and the travel fund is frozen and the receipt from Home Depot is in my pocket. The confrontation happened at 2 p.m. at my apartment. Trask and Merritt arrived after reading the group chat cancellation. Devlin arrived 10 minutes later. The three of them on my doorstep, the same formation they have used for every family confrontation since I was 19. Trask in front with the authority, Merritt behind with the silence, and Devlin to the side with the smirk that he wears when the confrontation is about him but directed at me. You canceled Niles's party. Trask said it from my doorstep. The accusation of a man who attended the graduation in the 6th row and watched his grandson walk clean and is now driven to his son's apartment to accuse him of canceling a party that the son paid for. I canceled my party. The booking was mine. The $18,000 was mine. The venue, the catering, the DJ, the decorations were all mine. And the party that was mine was for a boy whose suit was sabotaged at 5:45 and by the brother who is standing behind you with clean hands and an empty explanation. It was an accident. I held up the receipt. Home Depot. West Broad Street, 9:47 p.m. Friday night. Bear Premium Plus, black latex 1 gallon. Debit card ending 88 or 4. Devlin bought this can at 9:47 p.m. last night, 12 hours before the graduation, at a Home Depot 8 miles from this house, with his debit card. The receipt was in the garage trash can next to the paint can. The can was Bear Premium Plus, which we do not use in that garage. Dad uses Sherwin-Williams for the trim. Nobody in this family has ever bought Bear. This can was purchased for one purpose, and the purpose was the suit. Devlin shifted his weight, the shifting of a man who did not expect the receipt to survive the trash can. I bought it for a project. A shelf I was going to paint. What shelf? A shelf in my apartment. You bought black latex paint at 9:47 p.m. the night before your nephew's graduation to paint a shelf in your apartment. And you brought the paint to Mom and Dad's house instead of to your apartment. And the paint ended up on the suit that was hanging 3 feet from the can. And the pour angle was 45 degrees, which is the angle of a directed pour, not a spill. Devlin did not respond. I paint for a living, Devlin. I have been reading pour angles for 16 years. Accidental spills pool at the base. Directed pours follow the trajectory of the hand. The trajectory was the suit. The angle was deliberate. And the receipt is dated 12 hours before the pour. Merritt spoke for the first time. From behind Trask, the position she occupies in every confrontation. The woman behind the man. This is a family matter, Colter. You are making it public. The group chat message was unnecessary. The paint on my son's suit was unnecessary. Mom, the stop acting like he died was unnecessary. The silence from you when your grandson's graduation morning was sabotaged was unnecessary. I have been making unnecessary payments for this family for years. The only unnecessary thing I am stopping is the payments. I looked at Trask. The suit is clean. I fixed it at 6 a.m. with isopropyl alcohol because I know what latex paint does to polyester blend, because I paint for a living. The living you call spraying. The living that saved your grandson's graduation while you stood in the kitchen and told me to stop acting like he died. And here is what the man who sprays cars has been paying. I counted on my fingers. $18,000 for the party hall. My card. My booking. Canceled, $6,840 in car insurance for Devlin. $190 a month for 3 years on my policy because his Dewey priced him out. $4,400 in property tax. $1,100 a year for 4 years because your pension does not cover December. And $31,200 in the family travel fund, which is frozen, because 86.7% of that fund is my money, and my money does not travel with a family that pours paint on my son's suit and calls it an accident. Trask's hand went to the railing. The grip of a man whose travel fund is frozen, and whose party is canceled, and whose son's insurance is about to be moved, and whose property tax is about to become his own problem. And the gripping is the holding on, because the standing is getting harder, and the numbers are getting larger, and the man who sprays cars is the man who paid for everything, and the everything is being taken back. The suit is clean. The party is canceled. The paint was latex. I know paint, and I know it was not an accident. Devlin's face went white. The white of a man who has just been shown his own receipt and his own debit card number and his own 9:47 p.m. timestamp and his own absence of a project and his own silence when asked what project. And the silence is the confession, and the confession is in a kitchen where the coffee is getting cold and the graduation is over and the party is gone. Trask straightened. I will pay for a new suit. Right now. And Devlin will apologize at the party tonight. In front of everyone. Just unfreeze the fund and rebook the hall. The suit is already clean, Dad. I fixed it. At 6 a.m. In my shop. With the same hands you say only spray cars. And the party does not exist. The $18,000 haul is canceled. The apology you are offering is for a party that is gone and a suit that is fixed. You are solving problems that I already solved. The difference is, I solved the suit with chemistry. You solved nothing with opinions. I held up the Home Depot receipt one more time. This receipt is the intent. 9:47 p.m. 12 hours before the graduation. Purchased by the man who says it was an accident. The receipt does not say accident. The receipt says Bare Premium Plus. Black, latex, 1 gallon, paid with debit card ending 8844. The receipt is going in a folder. And the folder is going to stay on my desk for as long as Devlin wants to call it an accident. I closed the door. The fallout was financial and social, and it arrived in the order that paint dries, slowly, permanently, and without the option of reversal once the surface has been set. The 100 graduation party guests received no update from me. I had sent invitations in April. RSVPs had come back from 92 of the 100. The catering order was finalized. The DJ playlist was approved. The venue was decorated in Henrico High School colors, blue and gold. And the venue was empty at 7 p.m. on a Saturday in June, because the booking holder canceled at 6 a.m. from a body shop while removing paint from his son's suit. The guests received updates from Trask, who called 12 of them Saturday afternoon to explain that the party had been postponed due to a scheduling conflict. Trask did not explain the paint. Trask did not explain the receipt. Trask did not explain that the scheduling conflict was a gallon of Bare Premium Plus poured on a graduation suit by his younger son. The 12 guests told others. By Sunday evening, the version circulating through the family's Richmond network was the accurate version. Because the group chat message was public, and the group chat message included the words, "The party is canceled. The suit is clean. And the man who sprays cars knows the difference between an accident and a pour." The message did not require Trask's interpretation. The message was its own interpretation. Niles's classmates texted him Saturday evening asking where the party was. Niles told 3 of them the truth. The 3 told the rest. By Monday, the version at Henrico High was, his uncle poured paint on his suit, and his dad fixed it at a body shop and canceled the party. The version was sympathetic to Niles. The version was not sympathetic to Devlin. And the version was permanent because high school stories do not expire, and graduation stories are told every reunion. Devlin's car insurance was moved off my policy the following Monday. His individual rate with the Dewey was $520 per month. The $520 was $330 more than the $190 he had been paying on my policy, and the $330 was the monthly cost of a gallon of Bare Premium Plus applied to a suit at 5:45 a.m. on a graduation morning. The $330 per month would be paid by Devlin, whose warehouse supervisor salary of $48,000 divided by 12 is $4,000 per month before taxes. And the $520 insurance was now 13% of his gross monthly income, and the 13% was the weight of a pour angle measured by a brother who knows paint. The property tax notice arrived at Trask's house in December. $1,100. The first December in 4 years where the tax was Trask's responsibility. And the responsibility was the shape of a son's patience, finally measured in a receipt from Home Depot. The travel fund remained frozen through July, August, and September. The Hilton Head trip was canceled. Merritt asked for the freeze to be lifted in August through a text message that said, "The family needs this trip." Colter. I responded with one line, "The family needed to not pour paint on a graduation suit." Merritt did not text again. The fund sat at $36,000. $31,200 of it mine. The $31,200 would eventually be withdrawn by me, per the account agreement, leaving $4,800 in a joint account that would cover approximately 3 nights at a Hilton Head rental, which is not a vacation. It is a weekend. Saturday evening. Graduation day. My back porch. 2 lawn chairs. A pizza box between them. Domino's. Large pepperoni. $24. Ordered on the app at 5:40 p.m., delivered at 6:12 p.m., by a driver named Marco, who pulled into the driveway and read the yard sign and said congratulations to the graduate, and the congratulations was the most sincere thing a stranger had said to Niles all day, and the sincerity was in the simplicity, which is a man in a car with a pizza saying a word that means you did it. And the you did it was the evening's guest list, which was one delivery driver and one father and one graduate, and a pizza that cost less than the catering deposit and tasted better, because the tasting was not performed for an audience, and the audience was not required, and the requirement was just 2 chairs and a box, and the warm evening air of a Richmond June. Niles was in the lawn chair on the right. The suit jacket was draped over the chair back, the navy fabric catching the last of the daylight. The tie was loosened, the knot pulled 2 inches down from the collar, the universal signal of a man who is done being formal and ready to be comfortable. The top button was open. The gown was folded on the porch railing. The cap was on the side table next to the pizza box, the tassel hanging over the edge, left side the side of completion. And the diploma was on the pizza box, leaning against the closed lid, the leather folder resting on cardboard. Because the cardboard was the surface that was available, and the available was enough, and the enough did not need to be anything more. The suit was clean. The faint shadow on the right sleeve was visible only if you knew where to look, and I knew where to look because I had spent 45 minutes removing the paint that created the shadow, and the shadow was the scar. And the scar was the story, and the story was a brother poured paint on this suit, and a father removed it, and the removing is what fathers do when the breaking is done by someone else, and the fixing is done by the father, and the fixing is the career, and the career is not spraying. The career is restoring. And the suit was restored. The yard was small. The porch was small. The pizza was $24. The party hall that should have been hosting 100 people at this hour was dark and empty and refunded. The travel fund that should have been funding a summer trip was frozen and inaccessible. The family that should have been sitting in these chairs was in their own houses, reading a group chat message and a Home Depot receipt and learning the cost of a gallon of black latex poured on a graduation morning. And the 2 people who were here on this porch, in these chairs with this pizza, were the only 2 people who needed to be here, and the needing was the evening, and the evening was the right size, because the size was measured by the man who painted and the boy who graduated, and the pizza that was $24 and the diploma that was priceless. Dad, yeah. Thanks for fixing the suit. That is what I do. I fix things. I know. He picked up a slice. I picked up a slice. The pepperoni was hot. The cheese stretched. The evening was warm. The diploma was on the pizza box. The suit was on the chair. The paint was gone. The shadow remained. And the man who sprays cars was sitting on a porch with his son eating pizza and watching the light change across the yard. The light that moves the way light moves in June in Richmond, slowly, warmly, and with the patience of a season that knows the evening is long enough for a father and a son to finish a pizza and start a conversation that does not require anyone else at the table. The porch did not cost $18,000. The porch did not need to. The porch was free. And the free was enough. Welcome back to Family Secret Tales. If this story reminded you that the person who paints for a living knows the difference between an accident and a pour, and that a graduation does not need a party hall to be celebrated, share it tonight. Hit subscribe, drop a comment, and tell me, has anyone ever tried to ruin your child's moment and watched you fix it with the skill they mocked? I will see you in the next one.